Good morning. And welcome. See, that's the thing. You all have welcomed me. And I do feel a little odd on Sundays in this short time we've had together to welcome you to your own house. But thank you for that privilege. It has been both a joy and honor to accompany you in these last few months. This is my last Sunday with you, and I thank you for this opportunity. You've also given me gifts in turn. And you've got a lucky Reverend Barbara Queeman coming to serve as your interim, and no doubt you are going to find a settled minister who's going to love you all up, make you a little uncomfortable if they're doing their job right, and walk with you every step of the way into your shared future. Don't worry about that too much. I'm joined today by Service Associate Mary Stackpole, who was really a delight to work with. Right? Like the whole Service Associates, I met with them for the monthly meeting yesterday morning. And this is a really great crew of human beings who really work at the technical aspects of worship leadership. And they bring their heart and soul to this work. And that may be behind the scenes if you've never done it. But there's hours of labors of love late into the evening. And they do that because they love this place and love you. Today's music is provided by other people who work behind the scenes to make worship possible out of love for you and love for the craft. Pianist Julie Morris, violinist Anna Lugbill, and our song leaders today are Debbie Larson, Shelley Barnard, and Amy Austin. And yes, it is a joyful day. We can clap. Not everyone was at the annual meeting last night. It was fantastic. Your leaders worked really hard to make a fantastic agenda and content. And it's also kind of like the celebration of the formal end of the program year here at the fellowship. So if you want to celebrate, it's kind of graduation-y. Like you can all celebrate yourself today. You've been through a hell of a lot this year. Today's tech team, Deborah Mensch and Scott Humans. The tech team is the duct tape holding everything together. You are all welcome here. In the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes and sizes, gifts and challenges, all that makes you you, the stuff you're really proud of that is like publicly appropriate to put on your curated social media, and the stuff you would never post, and I hope you win the wars you tell no one about. All of that's welcome here. In all the ways you experience and express gender, and do that over time, you're welcome here. And the beauty is that who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. And in all the ways you make your living or don't make your living, and all the places you're from, the places of geography and the places of the heart, those valleys literal and those valleys of the soul, you are welcome here. With all of the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here. And no matter how long you are away or on what terms you're away, how soon you will return, every time you walk in those doors, you're welcome here in your home. And whether you come today with a body and soul that can offer support, you're welcome here. And that's the one we like to talk about. Or you come with a body and soul that needs support, you're really welcome here. join us. Join us with a curious mind, a loving heart, and a willing spirit. And join us even if your mind is too tired to be curious, if your heart is cynical and your spirit is done tired out. That's okay too. You're welcome here. I say these words to you, but these are your words. The preacher is the reminder of your own lost lines. We just stand in the wings. Together we acknowledge that the ground we stand upon is the land of the Arapaho and many native peoples for millennia before white settlers stole it for their own 170 years ago. 170 years ago, the indigenous people of this land were violently removed, displaced, and white settlers stole it for themselves. June 28th through 30th, we will join, Boulder Valley UU Fellowship, and that's all of you. This may be news to you this morning. We will join with community partners to welcome an indigenous delegation here to their homeland for the first time since the Sand Creek Massacre. And we can thank Chris Atano for her community partnerships in making this possible, and the many people who are coming together. We'll host the delegation for a couple of days for part of their stay and are honored to welcome to our June 30th Sunday service for a land and building blessing. We need volunteers. Now, we often say we need volunteers, and it's such a vague ask. No one knows what that means and if they should volunteer. So we've got a range from bring something to eat and share, to clean up, to stay overnight. And so I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. No one's counting. You can resend this. But raise your hand if you're free the 29th and the 30th, and you could do something. Maybe you bring fruit punch. Maybe you stay 48 hours. All right, can you volunteer? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, great. We have a great start. Take a look at your calendars, and you will talk to Kelly Lojudice. So close, who will be coordinating volunteer efforts. If you're new here, we are glad you found us. And you are as important and have as much of a place as those here who may have founded this community. Here at the fellowship, we explore our spirituality. We seek to make justice and work to fight racism and oppression inside and outside of these walls. We don't always do it perfectly, maybe never. But we keep trying, and that's the task. Come back a few times to really get to know us. I'm saying that to the newcomer, but all of you actually keep coming back. And keep getting to know us, because who us is will keep changing. Like a long, long partnership for marriage. You re-up your commitment each year, and that partnership and who you are may not be the same in decade 3 as it was decade 1. So keep coming back. If you are on Zoom, check out the links in the chat. Keep coming and get connected. And now, I invite you all to greet your neighbor, say hello, say a funny joke. I forgot the thing. I love it. This is the sound of a healthy fellowship. Add in some wiggles and cries of children, and you're gonna be cooking with gas. And you can wiggle and cry too. After the service, join us for coffee hour in the fellowship hall. I'll look forward to hanging with you in the foyer and saying our goodbyes. I'm not going too far. I'm staying in the Front Range for at least a decade, so I hope our cross paths. And Zoom, hang out on Zoom for chit chat and virtual coffee. And if you have a chalice at home on Zoom, you can light it with us right now as Mary lights our fellowship chalice. Join me in our chalice lighting words. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. As I ring this bowl, and you hear those vibrations move from loud to soft to barely audible, try to stick with it until you hit that edge where you can't hear it. And in that moment, listen for that still small voice that might be whispering something you need to hear this morning. I offer these words from my colleague, the Reverend Kimberly Ann Tomzak Carlson. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. And through your struggles, the ones we see and the ones we don't see, someone nurtured you. Someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief and a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share, a shared purpose. So you begin seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to the possibilities of love, and a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home. Welcome to worship. Let's sing together. Gather the Spirit. If you'd like to read the music, it's number 347 in your silver hymnal.
Good morning. So again, that is number 347 in the gray hymnal, or silver. I like that. Gather the Spirit.
You can rise in body or spirit.
Goodness I have an embarrassing story to share. Have you ever heard the joke, what's black and white and red all over? Go ahead, who knows? A newspaper, right. Well, until very recently, I thought the punchline had something to do with red blood, since the news is often violent and bad. I didn't think it was a very funny joke. I had overthought it so much that I completely missed the point. Recently, my 10-year-old told me that joke. I asked her, "Do you actually get that joke?" And she says to me in her 10-year-old way, "Duh. It's a newspaper. People read it, so it's red all over. Why would you think I wouldn't get it?" I was too embarrassed to tell her I had apparently not gotten it for the last 3 decades. I had a similar revelation with the word communion. To me, the word conjured images of little girls in white dresses, of the experience of processing down an aisle to eat a piece of bread, of the mystery of how bread and wine could somehow turn into flesh and blood. I was so steeped in the Catholic rituals and traditions behind the word communion, I had completely overlooked a very simple and obvious connection between the words communion and community. Both communion and community conjure images of people coming together. Both communion and community describe how people experience becoming a part of something larger than themselves. Both communion and community express the amazing mystery of how a whole can magically be more than the sum of its parts. As we celebrate our flower communion today, join with me in a responsive reading adapted from Amy Zucker Morgenstern. As we say the response together, may our lives bloom like flowers. Raise your flower. Look to a neighbor. Share a smile. Hold a hand. Perhaps playfully tap your flower on your neighbor's nose. Together, let's remind one another that we are all part of this shared community, growing a garden of beauty, rich in diversity, and prepared for the challenges ahead. Each of us is a flower with a delicate beauty uniquely our own. We may be like sunflowers, turning always toward the light. May our lives bloom like flowers. We may be like night-blooming flowers, displaying our fragrant petals when it is dark and we think no one can see. May our lives bloom like the flowers. We may be gray-headed like dandelions, eager to launch our seeds of wisdom onto the new generation with the first strong gust of wind. May our lives bloom like the flowers. We may be roadside weeds, loveliness bursting improbably from the dust and debris. May our lives bloom like the flowers. May we offer our beauty with the simplicity of flowers, giving out of what we are and knowing it is enough. May our lives bloom like the flowers. Amen, and blessed be. Each week, half of our offering plate goes out of those doors and into the world to do good. Today, half of the offering plate will support Growing Gardens. Growing Gardens offers opportunities for people of all ages, income levels, and abilities to get involved in regenerative urban agriculture. Gardening, nutrition education, and hunger relief, they are growing gardens and they are growing community. Today, you can be a part of that. By the in-person plate or the text donation, please give generously as you are able.
Thank you. And if I'm remembering right from the annual meeting last night, Janet, did you all raise in this fiscal year $58,000 to go out these doors? Yeah. Give yourselves a little celebration about that. And for that work out in the world and for partnership of this community with folks outside of those doors working together to do good, we give thanks. That's how you're bringing love, justice, and compassion to this world. And we're grateful and dedicate this to the mission and work of this congregation and to Growing Gardens. Thank you. Part of the traditional work of the church is justice making in the world and tending to the life of the spirit, the pastoral needs, the joys and concerns of our hearts of this community and our fellow humanity across the street, across the globe. And so we set aside time each week to honor the fullness of life, our triumphs and our tragedies, our joys and our sorrows. If you're on Zoom, you're welcome to type a message into the chat and name what's on your heart. If you're in the sanctuary, you can come forward as you feel so moved, share a few words, or in silence, place a stone into our shared bowl. I invite you to come forward as you feel so moved. We join for the circle of life, being in between birth and death, trying to figure it out in between. And we hold in our hearts all those who suffer with illnesses in body or mind or spirit, those who care for others, be it children, aging elders, the work unseen, teachers, formal and informal. And we pray for those in the path of violence, be it in their own homes or across the world. And we hold the fullness of this with all sorts of joy, new birth, celebration, rites of passage. We put that all together for the fullness of our own lives and beyond, to the fullness of this community and the world. So we add one last stone for all those sorrows and for all those joys, all those souls remembered and forgotten, named and unnamed, that remain in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. We can celebrate the joys and the challenges and the heartbreak. That's actually the work of the spiritual path. And you also don't have to attend by white propriety either. You can clap, dance, and sing. Also in my household, we call it Reverend Dr. Pepper. Praise be. We needed a little laugh break there. All right, now back to your regularly scheduled program. His mother, a devout Catholic. His father, agnostic. He became an acolyte at the age of 10 in 1890 in St. Martin's Catholic Church. In the years that followed, he became disillusioned. His priest was a cynic. I think it happens to almost all clergy at one point or another. At 18 in Vienna, he was apprenticed to his uncle, a successful tailor. And it was then that Norbert discovered the Baptists. Baptists, real liberal in this context. and he became a minister. And he founded almost a dozen churches from the Ukraine to Budapest. Yet slowly, his faith became even more and more liberal, and some of you may have taken a similar journey. He left Bohemia under government threat and accepted the call to serve a Baptist church in New York City. And that was until one day in 1919. That day he wrote in his diary, "I cannot be a Baptist anymore, not even in compromise. The fire of new desires, new worlds is burning in me." Norbert and his wife, Maya Capek, joined a Unitarian Church in New Jersey in 1921. For the same reason that many of you came here, their children liked their school of spirit. That's the power of our teachers. World War I ended, and his home country was now independent, so he and Maya returned home to Czechoslovakia. His Unitarian Church was the Prague Liberal Religious Fellowship, also a fellowship. In just 20 years, his church had 3,200 members. He had to have been a hell of a good preacher. The traditional Christian communion service of bread and wine wouldn't meet the needs of his congregation because his church, his fellowship like ours, had people who believed different things. Capek turned to the beauty of the countryside, to the beauty of flowers. And in 1923, 101 years ago, he developed this flower ceremony. He asked his congregants to bring a flower to church from their gardens, the field, or the roadside. And he asked each person to process and place their flower in a vase. And there they saw assembled one by one their church community becoming real in this bouquet. And then they could take one from the vase, take one home that was different than the one they brought. Capek was a visionary minister and clearly a really good church planter. And he had a church ahead of his time. I mean, imagine this amount of theological pluralism 101 years ago. We still feel that's progressive. That's pretty wild then. It's pretty dangerous. That fellowship was bold. It was thinking beyond its doors, what it thought was possible, what the world thought was possible, and they were willing. They were willing to take some risks, and they were willing to make some tough decisions and to bear disappointment. Because that's what it takes to be and do the work of the church. And they sought to build a new way, build up that congregation to build up the world, and that's what you do here. You build up one another. We all do better when we all do better. It's my deep theology and my politics. And that's dangerous, and for this, the Gestapo arrested him in 1942. The Nazis accused Capek of listening to foreign broadcasts. That was a capital offense. They sent him to Dachau concentration camp to Priesterblok. And even in starvation and torture, he held a flower ceremony with his fellow prisoners, finding whatever flowers they could among the weeds of the camp. And there they testified with flowers growing on their own graves to a beauty larger than themselves, a love that would outlive them. The Nazis killed Norbert Capek, but his spirit and his courage and commitment lives on today. And it has passed on to us to make it real. Come on in. We've got seats. We've always got seats for you. There's a seat in this house for everyone, even if your feet don't touch the floor yet. And so he passed this ritual on to us and that legacy to make real. His wife Maya brought the flower ceremony to the Unitarian Church in Cambridge in Massachusetts in 1940. And this beloved ritual, like wildfire, reached Unitarians throughout the country and the world. That's what we celebrate today. Yes, it's exactly what we're doing. They are showing you the dress rehearsal of how you will process momentarily. And I want to say the flower ceremony, though it is lovely, is not diversion or distraction from ugly reality. It's not a new ritual that was developed in the late 60s at the expense of cheap grace and thin theology. It's gentle fierceness, a fierceness that proclaims. In the midst of dark days, there's always some beauty. You got to search among the weeds sometimes to find it. Today we celebrate this ritual of solemnity and joy, and we'll process moving through time and space, bringing our flower, our individual beauty. And I'll invite you, when the music begins, to process to the far outer aisle and come back up the middle. Place your flower in the vase and then return via the aisles back to your seats. We'll start with the front row and move sequentially from there. A lot easier than doing this with 3,200 people. As Capek asked his people to place the flower in a communal vase, celebrate their community, I ask that now of you. For a generally buttoned-down group, that was the chattiest flower communion I have ever been a part of. That was really delightful. A couple of things happened. It was new. Some of you felt uncomfortable. And it worked out really well. Our aesthetics team had this beautiful idea of putting multiple vases together. And as your congregation grows in these coming years, you're going to have affinity groups and connections within your larger church. And remember, you'll always come together under one banner. You will always have a whole. I bless these flowers with Capek's own words of consecration from 101 years ago. Infinite Spirit of life, may these flowers of fellowship and love be blessed, and may they remind us, amid diversity of knowledge and gifts, to be of one in desire and affection and devotion to all that is good. May they also remind us of the value of community, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of our most important gifts, and may we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship. But may we realize in whatever we can do, great or small, that the efforts of all of us are needed to heal the world. Join with me as we extinguish this chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, nor the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. Let's sing together.
We are going to be singing a newer version of For the Beauty of the Earth, and the words will be up. Yes. I think of this as kind of a pyramid song. There's one part that sings the same thing the entire time. So if you want to do that, go for it. There's a second part that comes in a little later. It's a different harmony part just above, and it starts a little later and ends a little earlier. And then there's a third part at the top that Amy will be singing, just a higher part. We get a little glimpse of it in the middle there. So just follow low part. We're all singing the low part, then I will add the middle part, Amy will add the high part, and it's just going to be lovely no matter how it turns out. Rise in body or spirit as you'd like to, and here we go.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies.
I invite you, if you feel so moved, you can join hands, dap elbows, give yourself a big hug for a final good word. For that love which from our birth, may you feel it in the marrow of your bones, and may this community represent it. And may you then, in turn, be a blessing into the world. Go forth, be blessed and be a blessing. May it be so, and amen. And take a flower.